I've scooted across the exhibition hall to join Andy Palmer here from Seagate. Really good to see you. How's the show going for you so far?
Really well so far, thank you. We've had a few customers come by already, which is great news. We're here on stand 1125, showcasing our Skyhawk hard drive, among other technologies from some of our other partners.
Now, I'm going to come on to Skyhawk in just a second, but this show for you is very important, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Seagate commissioned IDC some research this year, which was talking about how data will grow in the next 10 years. And what we've sort of discovered is that the internet is growing at a huge rate, but the shape of the internet is changing. We believe that 60% of the internet won't be the stuff that you and I keying in from our keyboards or our telephones. It will have to be machine to machine talking to each other. And of course that raises huge complexities, not just because of the growth of the data, but because of the different formats, protocols, languages, everything else.
And the security of the data, what do you do with that data and how safe is it?
Exactly. And what we do with it, of course, is we're hoping to use that data to monetize it and produce some real value from it.
Yes. Now, obviously, the world, we're facing very challenging times at the moment, you know, and there is or at least I get a sense that people are nervous of too much surveillance. We know that it can be useful in the right hands, but obviously there is a border, isn't there? There's a line. And how do you manage that, you know, between this too much surveillance and how you use that information?
It's a very complicated question.
Sorry.
In truth. and there's a lot of people discussing that right now. Lots of regulations and laws coming through. It changes by country. Whatever happens, Seagate is at the underpins all of that with real decent storage.
Yeah. And so where do you see the business growing then? Given that we will see a rise in surveillance, we will see much more clever analytics, you know, people knowing what you want to buy. I find it extraordinary that these companies now know what I want to buy and text me or send me something on my phone before I've even thought of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's to do with big data and the Internet of Things. You know, I've got a fridge that tells me how many calories I've got available there, what to eat the next day. It sends a note to my medical insurance company. It sends a note to my supermarket to let them know that I'm short of things. This is going on, it's getting bigger and bigger. We reckon that in the course of an average day, most people will interact with some kind of machine or sensor 4,500 times each day, and we won't even know it.
But I mean, you know, you're a very prominent player, so you also must have some responsibility here to play as well, because obviously that data has to be kept safe.
It is, and we certainly have a range of encryption devices that we can use to keep the data safe at rest. We're also, it'd be wrong of me to speculate about how we're sort of doing the whole thing, because Seagate is just one part of the technology sphere, but we are working with a number of partners to try and nail that stuff down.
Well, I mean, just looking around here, there's some very, very exciting new technology, and I know you also have something that you're very keen to showcase, which is Skyhawk. What is that?
So Skyhawk is the Seagate brand for surveillance hard drives. These are different to the usual run-of-the-mill hard drives that you might find in your PC, for example. They're built specifically for a surveillance environment. They're built to run 24/7. They're highly reliable. They have special video caching techniques, which enables smooth video transfer onto the hard drive. They are they're high endurance because, again, you're running 24/7, and in that time you're writing a lot of data. If you imagine quite a small application, 6 cameras, you know, a little bit of video compression, you're producing 95 terabytes a year. Most desktop hard drives are rated at only 60 terabytes. And what happens at 60 terabytes and beyond that, the hard drive doesn't just break down, but does start to exhibit signs of wear and tear. Absolutely. And in video, wear and tear is lost video frames, and that's critical to the CCTV environment.
But you're constantly having to fight, aren't you, to keep up in terms of data and how much data you can capture, given that, you know, we are seeing increasing numbers of more surveillance, bigger bandwidth, or is the market going the other way in that you're trying to compress everything?
Well, there's obviously lots of video compression techniques available at this show. There's also higher and higher pixel counts, which kind of counterbalances that. So we still see very much a growth in the requirement for exabytes of storage, absolutely.
And how will you stay ahead of the game?
Seagate invests over $1 billion a year in R&D. We have thousands of people researching this stuff, finding what the next big thing is. You know, we laugh at rocket scientists because what we're doing is so minute these days. You know, if you look at this picture behind you, just an example, the platter of the hard drive is spinning 7,500 times per minute. The flight height of the read-write head over it, well, your fingernails have grown more in the last 8 seconds. So that's kind of tolerances that we're manufacturing.
I mean, it's extraordinary. You talk about the nanotechnology. I used to present tomorrow as well for the BBC, and we used to be able to say, look, here's a lovely piece of technology because it was the size of a fridge freezer. Can't do that anymore because it's so minute.
Yeah, absolutely right, and getting smaller and smaller and faster and faster. And the issue is that we're trying to do so much in such a short space of time. In fact, at Seagate, in real time with our hard drives. So it's gather, store, protect, and analyze the data and make use of it.
I mean, do you think you have a natural advantage in that you are a known brand, there is a level of trust in that, and when people are investing a lot of money, particularly businesses, you do want to spend your money wisely and you do want to make sure you bought something that you can trust?
Yeah, Seagate produces millions of drives every few months, and we have a very good reliability specification, and that's a name you can trust. We constantly review our production processes to try and make sure that we're building real quality into the hard drive. Absolutely.
Is that something that customers come to you and talk about, is the fact that they know you, they do trust you?
Absolutely they do, yeah. They choose us because they know that with Seagate they're getting a very highly reliable drive engineered for the job that it's designed to do.
So in terms of this show, what's the idea? Is it to look after existing consumers, attract new consumers, spread a new message, show new technology?
Well, I mentioned that piece of research we did recently. We're talking about that really, how data is exploding into the data sphere, 163 zettabytes of data by 2025. You know, these are fantastic numbers that you can't even begin to comprehend. And it's to do with the complexity of that. So what we're doing with some of our partners is talking about how we can capture, store, analyze, and use that data.
Because knowledge is power, information is power.
Absolutely is, yeah. and what we're seeing is that, you know, CCTV is being used for far more now than just security. It moves the whole storage piece from the cost side of the balance sheet to the revenue generator.
Well, I think that's also very important in terms of the way that consumers view it, because if we're seen to be a society that's being constantly surveilled, it's better when you know that it's on your side, that there is a relationship there. And I think if you can turn that round, then that will be much more productive, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, yeah, and it's to do with convenience, isn't it? It's the fact that when I log in somewhere, my adverts are being presented to me. It's the personalisation of the market space to me and the things that I'm interested in. It's that sort of thing that these technologies enable.
Well, you've got a lot of people to talk to over the next few days. When you go home, what will a good show look like to you?
We've met lots of people, they've heard the message, we've learned something, we've taught something.
Brilliant. Well, Andy, thank you very much for your time, because I know you're a very busy man, and I wish you a great deal of success over the next few days.